Welcome back to CEOs of the Industry with Mauricio Diaz from the HANOR Company. Welcome, Mauricio.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we had Dr. Chris Gutierrez from SIVA. Again, good to see you, Chris. Looking forward to this discussion today.
Likewise, me, Mauricio. So, Mauricio, it's quite unique to discuss with each of the CEOs in a way that's sharing light into the industry. Each of you brings its own story into the mix, its own passion and flavor into the companies you lead. So, let's start with that piece of the story. So, you are originally from Honduras, and today you're leading HANOR. This journey has been built on resilience, on going always for the next step and looking ahead with higher ambitions. Can you share with us a bit of your story making that leap into the US? As much as you want to share in terms of what the challenges have been, what the journey has looked like into becoming a leader for one of the US largest pork producers.
Certainly, Chris. Appreciate the opportunity. I grew up in our family farming and ranching operations in rural Honduras. My dad is a second generation coffee grower, and like good old farmers, he's still doing it. And I was set to continue in his footsteps and become the third generation. I don't think by now that expectation is no longer there. But growing up alongside my parents' farming operations, that alone gave me a great perspective of life at an early age. That was to work hard and stay humble and, serve others. Anyway, I knew early in life that I wanted to be in agriculture. So I managed my way to attend Zamorano University in Honduras and obtain an agronomy degree. In 2006, in my senior year, I had an opportunity to go work right out of college and for what was known back in the day as Murphy Brown, which is Smithfield Foods today. So I took the opportunity and told my dad, I've never been outside of our family business. I don't even know what commercial pig production means. And I'm curious to go see the US. So I'll be back in 2 years. Well, the rest is history. My family and I have been so blessed to have immigrated to the US going to 19 years ago. So I started my professional career working with pigs, something I never envisioned. My time with Murphy Brown provided a unique training ground to understand operations and to excel even when you're doing basic chores, such as scraping manure out of the pan or pressure washing or processing leaders or, selling loads, market loads at night. I remember that early in my career with Murphy Brown, I asked another guy who had climbed the ranks much faster than his peers. And I said, what's the secret? His answer was, whatever you do it right. Not because someone is right beside you watching you, but because until you excel at doing the basic chores, you won't be able to succeed at managing people. You know what? That stuck with me. Then came the time to transition over to HANOR. And when I was first entertaining the idea, my whole concept was, will there be room for advancement? Okay. So on my first day in Oklahoma, I asked Merle Mortensen, at the time he was at the helm of the company, and I said, what's the path to success? And he grabbed a blank sheet of paper out of his desk and said, just go on, make your way. We will be watching you closely and we will support you. When I heard that, I told myself I needed to strengthen my business acumen. I had all these operational expertise, time with out on the field, and I wanted to be ready for when the opportunity showed up. It was not in my wildest dream to be leading a company of the size of HANOR. But so I went and obtained an MBA with a focus in finance, and little did I know that would help me do a better job in my current role. You know, I've been fortunate to have mentors that not only took the time to care for me, not only in the workplace, but used them as a sounding board outside of the work. And I could see that they invested time in helping me grow as an individual. Um, this instilled in me the desire to serve others. And in my current capacity, that is one of my focus, serving the people within the organization, but also outside of the HANOR walls, particularly in the communities where we operate.
Amazing. So, background in farming, excelling with what's in front of you. There's no small core. Do it well, learn it, be the example, and be available for others. Give back is what I'm hearing. You receiving from your mentors, and now you being the mentor, helping many others, and understanding that the company operates in a community and also being mindful of that. Very compelling. Thank you, Mauricio.
Thank you.
So leadership at the helm, when you came in 5 years ago, you defined a new era at HANOR. So what were your initial priorities stepping into the role, and then how have they evolved?
Um, I think I want to start by saying that it was important for me to show appreciation for past successes. And in doing so, I started by assessing those building blocks that I needed to leverage and in order to continue to build on what I had inherited. However, HANOR needed to evolve. The industry had just came out of some tough years, COVID, labor constraints. You all heard about it, plant closures, and the market dynamics. And like many other producers, we were having health and management challenges that are affecting our productivity. And all of these factors were working against our profitability. So I started my tenure going through some turmoil, if you will, and in trying to understand what those building blocks, the ones that I needed to focus on, I came and got my executive team and defined what key vectors we needed to focus that would help us shape the future of the business. I remember those having a great employee experience. Leveraging our vertical integration through Triumph Foods, operational excellence, harnessing and utilizing data effectively. And finally, this was one that really resonated with me, was exceptional stewardship. Um, one of the early challenges that was brought to my attention was that we seem to be struggling to keep good talent at our entry level positions, and in part due to not being as competitive on our compensation package. And here we are trying to attract great talent and challenge ourselves to push the system. We were extremely understaffed out in the field. And so how are we managing to do the basic chores right? So we went ahead and addressed those areas, despite that almost everyone in the industry was losing money. And we've continued on that path. Another pressing item I remember was the need to strengthen our balance sheet. Okay. So we underwent a thorough review of our cost structure. And so far, I can tell you we have made tremendous progress in the right direction. And lastly, but very importantly, operational efficiency. This was an area we needed to focus on, and this happens to go hand in hand with accountability. this led us to do a full review of our operations, genetics, nutrition, logistics, procurement, uh, processes. In short, we left no stone unturned. And we're not done yet. As a matter of fact, this approach has become more of a culture going forward. And in trying to challenge the status quo and have a continuous improvement approach to everything we do. Um, if I can gauge the outcome of all the heavy lift that took place the last 4 years, I can see that we're having a positive impact, not just on addressing pressing challenges like the profitability one, but also in the morale of the team. And from the results we expect to generate going forward, it tells me that we're going in the right direction.
So you've come in and really taken a look at everything from all aspects, Mauricio. What about the leadership impact on that?
It doesn't go without growing pains. Um, it was certainly an issue with how do you blend previous concepts with new ones coming in, and how do you make a transformation that oftentimes requires management change. So, at that point, it was important for me to be transparent with the team. I think many understood the urgency that we had in front of us, and it's the reason why we're having this conversation today. Going in 5 years later.
So part of that long-standing success in 2024, you guys marked the company's first formal rollout of a vision and mission. Why was this important now, Mauricio?
Well, our strategic direction gives everyone an opportunity to align with HANOR's purpose and the core values. Um, by formalizing these core values, we provide a guide on what the expectations are and how we will all behave while conducting business. Now think about this, Jim. Earlier, I mentioned about one of the factors being great employee experience. Anyone knocking on HANOR's door for a job opportunity want to know what it would be like to be part of the team. Um, what do we stand for and what they're going to be. They don't know if they're going to be a good fit. So this is particularly true for younger generations. So clearly stating our purpose and core values helps us attract new talent, but it also gives our current pool of talent the tools and guiding principles to be great stewards. We called our strategic direction the HANOR way, and the values we define for all, me included, are the following. Having a positive impact. And we're doing these by caring and taking responsibility for the people within our walls and outside of HANOR, and also the resources around us, advancing together by working effectively as a team, respecting and trusting and serving one another. And then we're nourishing understanding through effective and honest communication, and we're trying to outperform. This is our continuous improvement effort in consistent and consistent execution. And, we're just trying to be better than the prior day. And finally, remain disciplined. And this is by executing the four rights: the right thing at the right time, the right way, for the right reason. So, when I look at these exercise, it really took about 12 months to prepare it for a rollout. But the beauty of it was that we had several people at different levels of the company come help us define what the HANOR way should look like. So this was not a top-down approach. And while doing it in that way, we created ownership of the program. So today, a year later, after we rolled it out, I can tell you, people are still energized by the program. The challenge is going to be, will it stand the test of time? I can honestly assure you from my side, I'll be as excited about it in 5 years or more as I am today. Um, Almost everything regarding the core values that we define has to do around people, and we wouldn't excel at what we do without them. Uh, Now, we've been talking about this, and the HANOR way serves as a compass. Whenever we're taking decisions, we should ask ourselves, how does this embody the HANOR way? Each of those core principles, whether we're talking about making a significant shift from a current practice or guiding an employee to correct a bad behavior. Uh, you heard me say that it's been a year since we rolled the program out. And since we rolled it out, we have been conducting monthly meetings to provide tools for all of us in a leadership role to help others in the organization align with our values. Uh, Now, let me say this. This is the fine print, okay? All of this is great stuff. But what will matter the most is if we're able to embody each of those values in our daily lives. And people are watching and they're providing feedback. And I think it's a great way to assess our commitment to the program. And I'm happy to say that so far we can see that we're moving the needle in enacting our core values. And this is not a sprint. Share these with the team, but instead, this needs to be a marathon.
So the Honor way, I love that, Mauricio. How do you ensure the mission resonates across all levels of the company?
So through the rollout program, what we have done is, we're having these consistency meetings in making sure that the information is passed down to the different management levels. We've completed our second survey in trying to get feedback from everyone. It's important for us that it doesn't stay at the top. Okay. Now, everything that we did, whether it was onboarding and discussions, revolves around the training around the HANOR way. So everybody from day one, it's being exposed to what the HANOR way means.
So you've come in, you've built a culture, you're building your team. So how do we build the right team for the next 30 years? What strategies have you used to bring in the right talent and address some long-term labor challenges?
Yeah, that's ever going. It's always gonna be there, right? But let me tell you this: I've been blessed to have long-term people who decided to stay throughout the changing leadership. That's a pivoting point for many. And those guys are helping me develop Hanor's future leaders. It is also fair to say that Hanor's evolution led to changes and causing some of our long-term leaders to transition into new chapters of their lives. Um, their departure created opportunities to welcome new, young, and energetic leaders. And my philosophy has been to provide the opportunity within our walls. As long as we can see the runway for growth for that individual, I think we can always invest in building their leadership skill set as long as they're willing to put in the hard work it requires to lead by example. Now, we all know developing people into a leadership role is not an easy task to accomplish. The challenge lies in blending, like I was mentioning earlier, blending established leaders with newcomers while also embracing the standards that contributed to our success. And then alongside, we were introducing new standards, or perhaps you're breaking bad habits, such as working in silos, to give an example. And so, that's part of the daily grind. And I think as long as we're transparent about it, people understand where we're headed. They appreciate that. People can manage bad notices. Okay, bad information. What people cannot manage is not having any information at all. And so that's on us. But outside of those in a leadership role, We at HANOR have found a great pool of labor force through the USMCA treaty, previously known as NAFTA, which allows us to bring people from Mexico and Canada. These guys and gals are coming with degrees in agriculture and are helping us bridge the gap from not being able to fulfill our needs from local hiring. Um, you know, Funny enough, that was the reason why I came to the US going to 19 years ago, right? And it is not going to get any easier to attract good talent to work in our farming operations. Um, I'm sure that almost everyone in our industry has had some level of engagement with people coming from abroad in order to stay fully staffed. Now, as I think through that, through your question, Jim, a different challenge outside of recruiting is to increase retention levels. Some of these people coming from abroad are looking for opportunities where they can feel there's a career path, opportunity for growth. Others are merely interested in the compensation package, which is fine. Um, but we're actively looking for those that are willing to stay for the long haul and have the right skill sets, such as being curious, a desire to learn, being nimble to change, and just pushing the system to become better. As I think about my team, I'm actually proud to see what the team looks like today. It's a combination of people from different walks of life. Most made their career in pig production, but we've also embraced others who came from outside of our industry and are challenging our thought process. You know, at the end, HANOR, like any other company out there, needs a team that is willing to challenge what they believe is wrong, that they need to be empowered to take action and not be bashful in raising their hand and asking the hard questions.
So you have a diverse team. What does it need to look like to continue to succeed over the next 30 years?
You know, there needs to be our ability to stay outside of our comfort zone. So being nimble, it's a huge opportunity for us. You think about all the changes that go through our industry. It's an ever-changing industry. We're trying to make up for consumer demands that's a moving target, and so that team needs to continue to push itself and challenge the status quo, be able to look at what are the opportunities today in terms of recruiting and make the most with what we have. We need to continue to leverage technology to make our work a lot easier and understand where do we put our capital money in order to achieve better results. So as I think about the team, they need to leverage their analytical thinking and those processes that will make them take better decisions.
So let's switch over to kind of an ag tech discussion, Mauricio. Data-driven decisions, modernizing pork production. We had your COO, Jim Moody, on our program last year talking about ag tech and bin century. So with data being so important, how is Hanor leveraging data and tech to improve decision making in its operations?
Right. Um, so great decision making doesn't always come from gut feeling reactions, right? It's just not how it goes. And as an industry, we already capture a lot of information. The question becomes, what are we doing? How are we spinning, slicing, and dicing the information to produce models and analysis that inform decisions and prioritize projects to make sure we get the best return on the investment? I can tell you that we have made an honest commitment to invest in our data crunching ability. We brought a data scientist to the team. It has been fabulous to see what we can do with data mining. But in essence, what we're doing is removing the emotions out of our decision-making process and letting the numbers guide us. We're still in our early stages, and much can be improved from being able to integrate all of the different software and programs that we currently use, in order to get all the information that it's being captured in one place. I think what I'm trying to say is, one of the next steps that we as an enterprise we need to take is trying to find the right enterprise resource planning system, one that would help us integrate all the different softwares and programs that we have out there, and to help us make better decisions. Uh, Now, Jim, in terms of technology, we don't develop technology, but I would say that we're always looking for partners that would have great concepts and are now trying to find someone to validate them. And back to your point earlier about Bean Sentry, that is one successful story we have. Bean Sentry, which is the remote monitoring of feed bins, we started working with them back in 2018 with our early versions of their device, and kept on looking at many ways to fine tune it until we were all happy with the results. Today, we have their monitoring devices in all of our feed bins, sow operations and grow finish operations. The business case told us it was a great investment. And so things like that, we're always open to look and leverage at those relationships. But, we also have a great research platform. Our size company, we've kind of, our approach has always been applied research, where we're looking at different components across each of the phases, whether it's genetics or nutrition or on the health side. We're constantly working with industry allies to validate concepts that will achieve better results and improve our sustainability efforts, if you will.
So how does data support the vision for sustainability and efficiency?
Today, the data, I'll give you that example of Bean Sentry. We have been able to reduce the amount of beans that are without feed. Okay. So when you think about sustainability, and that is not letting, there's several components in this story, right? Animal welfare, it's one of them, a critical one. But in terms of, that pig regressing on their performance and then now having to keep that pig later on to meet certain standards of marketing weights, we're losing less resources. And then we're also an opportunity to optimize our transport, our logistics. Where do we go first? Where the need is at. So that data with Bean Sentry, we didn't have it before. It's that visual. We were blind, and now we're not. And so that was the first step. Now we're evolving all of that data into other areas that we're still working with Bean Sentry and trying to tap onto other areas that we hadn't thought about. And so, the first step is you got the data. How are you dicing it? What kind of data crunching are we doing? And I think we're now at that stage that we're able to make better informed decisions and think about what's the next step with the current data that we have. I'll give you another example. We're in the process of working with a partner in looking at water consumption. Okay, and water consumption in the barns, and how can we tell if there's a health event that's going to develop before we visually see it, and that's critical. Early identification and early interaction, it's key. Okay, reducing mortality and morbidity, and that's part of that sustainability effort.
So progressive leadership. So communication builds trust, Mauricio. In today's world, I think sharing our story matters. How is Honor making sure its goals and values are understood by its stakeholders?
Mhm. Oh, transparency is key to our industry. Whenever the consumer sees us as a transparent group, this creates goodwill and trust. I personally believe every single producer out there is doing the right thing in order to comply with regulations and produce great pork. Um, this is our case at HANOR. We take pride in each of the processes that we undertake before we deliver our product to the processing plant. Uh, we're intentional about creating internal awareness for areas of opportunity. Most recently, we created a new department called compliance, which overlooks all the different aspects of industry standards and our SOPs and tracks and report areas of opportunity. But that's internally, right? And so, we also have opportunities to interact with outside of our walls with state agencies, policymakers, the community at large when we either host or attend events. That's a prime opportunity, and we use it to speak about our operations. We open ourselves up and let outsiders have an opportunity to learn about how do we carry our day-to-day operations. And like many other producers, we're actively participating with our state pork councils. We see these opportunity to engage in the various activities with our neighbors, our policymakers at the state and federal level. We also collaborate with universities, which gives us an opportunity to talk to the next generation of leaders that will go into the different sectors, not just in agriculture, and let them know who we are. And continue to teach the different stakeholders about everything that takes place out in the field. Several of our teammates are serving in roles with the state agencies or collaborating with the pork board. We help support industry events held in each of the 6 states that we operate in. All of these events give us much needed face time with the people outside of our walls to nourish understanding on what we care for and how we're accomplishing producing safe and nutritious pork.
So let's talk about Triumph a little bit. And Matt England was on this show, Mauricio. We had a great discussion. So you guys are part of the Triumph Foods Network. How is Hanor positioning itself for growth while optimizing shared resources?
Right. Triumph has been the vehicle to help us reach better returns on the product we're going to market with. It has allowed us to be better positioned when the industry is going through a downturn. And as I think through these, lastly, it has helped fulfill HANOR's business model, which is to produce value-added pork. Now, from the HANOR side, we go to market with 1.9 million market pigs a year. Almost all of our market hogs go to Triumph Foods. Now, as we continue to navigate what other avenues we can take in order to produce better returns from Triumph Foods, our focus has been to invest in further processing our fresh pork. This will continue to be our number one focus and opportunity. If you think about it, this is why we brought in Daly's Premium Meats in 2015 as part of our portfolio. And just to share something while we're talking about Daly's, I'm happy to say that we're in the process of investing over $110 million to increase our capacity to process an extra 60 million pounds of bellies and produce more bacon at Daly's. So as I think through that, investments like this will continue to support our ability to remain competitive at Triumph and at HANOR. Other considerations that I think that I need to state and we value at HANOR by being part of the Triumph Foods Network, it's that it gives us firsthand access to consumer demands, both domestically and abroad. So we're constantly talking about how can we meet our customer and fulfill their need, whether that is through a different hog characteristic, call it Prop 12, or open sow housing. It helps us on the life side to stay nimble to change and maintain production driven by consumer demand.
I love hearing about the dailies there, Mauricio, the investment in the plants and getting product to market. Um, are you leveraging shackle spaces or plant access to drive value? Is there any other untapped opportunities in this partnership with Triumph?
I think we're maxed out. We had our second plant came into line back in 2017. So in terms of shackle space availability, today we're optimized through our availability. And we at HANOR, it's been our business model not to outgrow Triumph Foods. Okay, we certainly have seen the value of being fully integrated. I'm not going to say that we don't go to other partners and packers with other product, but the bulk of it is through Triumph Foods, and so I don't see us, changing that schematic today. That business model has worked out fairly well for us.
Now, consumer expectations. So, what consumers want is constantly changing in the market. How is Honor staying ahead of ensuring pork is a top protein choice?
Right. So I kind of mentioned it earlier, right? And to your point, consumer expectations will always be a moving target, but it's our opportunity, I believe, to meet them where their need is. We at HANOR want to be nimble to ongoing market demands, and this has been true with everything that has happened with open sow housing, to give you an example, or Prop 12 production. If I may name another one, we also tapped a niche market that is known as global animal partnership, and we're at a level one of many levels. But we're producing antibiotic-free pigs, and alongside providing a 32 square foot per female in gestation, which goes above and beyond Prop 12 requirements. What I'm trying to say here is that there is a place for all of these different markets. And as long as we're able to do it in a fashion that allows us to create returns, we certainly want to help fulfill those demands. Now, there are other considerations that consumers are asking for. There's a buzzword that's been around for a while now about carbon footprint and carbon sequestration. We at HANOR are always looking for opportunities to modernize our processes while being good stewards of the environment. This is why we have committed resources to engage in methane production out of our lagoons. And another area that is worth highlighting is that we already have several company-owned sites in Illinois with solar arrays. We're looking also at wind turbines in Oklahoma. So in essence, we will continue to work on improving our story around sustainability. The use of renewable energy it has a great story in itself to support our production. Outside of those, Jim, we also monitor our antibiotic use year over year, trying to understand how to reduce antibiotic use while improving herd health. We monitor freshwater application where we have crops. We reduce soil erosion by using less tillage. All these different aspects, we do them because it's the right thing to do. But I believe that at the same time, we're meeting consumer demands. Now, one thing that I believe we as producers need to continue to do is raise our voice in a way that promotes understanding by our consumers that anytime we go into producing a specific hog characteristic, it's not easy to start with. Farming is capital intensive. Everyone knows that. Think about what has happened with our industry's economics over the last few years. It has not been the time to invest in changing farm layouts, and we need to let our consumer know the true story behind what they're asking for. What does it mean for the producer to fulfill their demand, and will it be sustainable from the cost to produce it and then passing it on to the consumer?
It's been a great conversation, Mauricio. I have one question left, and then I'm going to let Chris wrap up. When we talk about sustaining leadership, setting the industry benchmark, I know HANOR is seen as an industry leader. What internal initiatives or cultural shifts are helping you maintain this status?
So, at HANOR, our mission is defined by people, pigs, and the planet. If we do these three right, then we will ensure profits. So our focus will continue to be to provide high quality pork to families while demonstrating exceptional stewardship for our people, our livestock, and our environment. You know, you heard me talk about this earlier. We're working on a culture that creates the need to remove ourselves from ever being in our comfort zone, and to continuously push the system, to challenge the status quo. We need to continue to look outside of our walls and even outside of our industry to gain knowledge and perhaps be proactive instead of reactive. Um, I spoke about the research platform we have internally, but our focus needs to evolve into maybe an innovation mindset, looking for ways to improve processes and create value, not just for us, but also processes that we can go and market them for our profitability and prosperity, but be able to share those with our partners and industry at large. To finalize my thought, we will continue to look for the best and brightest to join our team, but we will also invest heavily in developing our internal people to become better leaders alongside with the right technical knowledge. If we do these effectively, Jim, then I think we will have an opportunity to stay ahead of the curve.
Very powerful, Mauricio. People, pigs, and planet. HANOR is approaching its 30-year milestone. If you could leave a legacy for the next 30, what would that be?
That's a lot of time ahead of me, but I'll take a stab. Uh, if I were to think about three aspects that I would like to stand the test of time, even past my time with HANOR, will be a legacy and a culture of resiliency, exceptional stewardship, and a mindset of servitude. Uh, there are certainly others that come to mind, but I believe these are my core tenets, and I believe we have paved the way to achieve this with the rollout of the HANOR Way. The HANOR Way established the five core values that I mentioned earlier that serve as the standard for our behavior. These values guide our actions and decision-making process. You see, excellence is both a mindset and a habit. At HANOR, like many other companies, we strive to perform even the simplest tasks exceptionally well. The HANOR Way is being today and will continue to be integrated into all of aspects of our work, supporting both personal development and the achievement of performance goals. And if I may add one last piece, Chris, another component that allowed us to be successful over the past 30 years has been our ability to forge alliances. This is the prime example of Triumph Foods. So we need to continue to look for opportunities to build goodwill and in the process create win-win scenarios for HANOR and our partners.
Thank you, Mauricio. You are leading with clarity of purpose and impact, and we can only look forward to the next 30 years of HANOR.
I appreciate it.
Chris, Mauricio, thanks for joining us on CEOs of the Industry.
Thanks for the opportunity, guys.